Welcome to Entrepreneurship 101, Starting a Business in Fairfax County, Entrepreneur Spotlight. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker. Whenever you hear fastest growing WBE, women who inspire, woman of success, largest woman-owned business, her name can be found at the top of most, if not all, of those lists. And while she has succeeded as a woman-owned business, she is a major player in a male-dominated industry. In 1990, she started with just 5 cars in the Reston town center. She grew the business to 250 vehicles, 450 employees, and 30 million in revenues. She's the founder of Sterling Women Business Networking Luncheon and co-founder of the Northern Virginia Women's Business Conference. Reston Limousine has the distinction of being the largest limousine and bus company in the region and the 10th largest in the nation. Without further ado, I'd like to bring to the stage Ms. Kristina Bouweiri, CEO of Reston Limousine. Please welcome Kristina. Kristina, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for being here. So we've got a lot of questions to get to today. Viewers participating in the webinar today are starting businesses from the ground up. Your journey to owning a business was a non-traditional path. Could you talk about how you became CEO of one of the largest woman-owned transportation companies?
Absolutely. So my story is definitely a little different. I was working in advertising sales with a degree in political science from George Washington University. And I cold called William Bouweiri, who owned Reston Limousine, and I sold him an ad. And he and I started dating after that. And within a year, we're married. And that's how I got into the limousine industry. He and I worked side by side for 10 years, and then we decided he would stay home with the kids. And he promoted me to president and CEO back in 2003. And about 10 years after that, we got divorced, and I bought him out of the company and the home, and it became 100% my company.
That's quite a story, and congratulations on all of your success. So, Entrepreneurship 101 attracts participants from various industries and in different stages of the entrepreneurial journey. What advice would you give to someone just starting a business?
Well, I today know a lot more about that than I did when I started the company. I feel like everything I did my first 10 years in business, I did it the wrong way. And that's how I learned how to, run a company. Today, I know of so many resources for entrepreneurs, starting with the small business development office in their county. That's a great place to go for free advice. You can get free legal advice. You can get free business plans. It's fantastic. I would also encourage entrepreneurs to join a chamber and start networking and start building, relationships with people and other business owners. That's been really helpful to me. Looking back, I wish I had started networking sooner rather than later.
Kristina, those are all great resources. I think we're blessed here in the Northern Virginia region. The ecosystem is quite robust for entrepreneurs, and it's good to see that you've taken advantage of those resources. So, who inspires you? What inspires you?
There are so many people that inspire me, but being in the DC region, it's flooded with many wonderful people and entrepreneurs. I think the one person that really stands out for me is Sheila Johnson. She owns the Salamander Resort and sold BET many, many years ago. And I think of her as someone who could really be taking it easy these days. But instead of taking it easy, she's involved in so many different things. The Middleburg Film Festival, she funds orphanages in Africa. She works harder as a philanthropist than she ever did when she ran her company. So I would say she inspires me the most.
So let's talk a little bit about the impact of COVID that it's had on your company. COVID has negatively impacted the transportation industry. The transit and ground passenger revenues have fallen nationally by 30 to 40% in recently reported quarters. What impact has COVID-19 had on Reston Limousine?
Well, obviously, it's had a huge impact on us. A year ago, we had 450 employees and we had to lay off 300 of them, which was definitely the most difficult day in my career. Um, Luckily, we've been able to bring back about 100. So revenues are still down, but we are an essential business, and we're very blessed in that we are 90% corporate, 90% buses. And we have many of our customers have continued the service because we do provide that last mile transportation, getting commuters from, wherever they've parked their car to the office, or from the metro to the office. And so thankfully, a lot of that work has remained. And we've also pivoted into some new markets. We pivoted into food delivery. We're providing delivery for this wonderful business called Din Din, which connects unemployed chefs with commercial kitchens where they can create beautiful food. And then we deliver that to people. We also pivoted into driving COVID positive people to quarantine. And the customer gave us medical grade PPE to protect ourselves. And we installed the plastic shields in the vehicles to make sure everyone is safe. And then the last pivot was with organ transplantation. And so we have really grown in those three areas, and it's really helped offset the other business that went away.
So it's interesting how you pivoted in those areas. And it sounds like diversification has been one of the key things to your success. How important is that for anyone looking to start a business?
I would say diversification is really what has been my, success strategy. So when the company was started in Reston in 1990, we were 100% corporate, very sort of limited focus. We diversified into weddings, and within a year, we were doing 100 weddings a weekend. And then we fell into government contracting, which was fantastic for about 10 years. But then we lost our small business set aside. So then we had to diversify into universities, hospitals, wine tours, tourism. And so, yes, diversity is key.
Okay. And then I have one other question about just the impact of COVID on your workforce. What measures have you implemented to support your team?
So my workforce is working from home right now. The ones that can, obviously the drivers can't work from home, but everyone that can work from home is working from home. And I think there have been many blessings during the pandemic. And one of those blessings was for me and many other employers is that the employees are continuing to work very hard from home. They're happy. They're happier working from home. And so going forward, we will always have work from home policies. We're thinking of having them work from home Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and just coming into the office on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And what is so interesting is about a month before the pandemic, I was looking at leasing more space for my employees and more parking. I literally had to acquire more space. And then the pandemic hit, and I would come to work and the parking lot was empty. And so this actually solves my problem of having not having enough space. So the employees will continue to work from home. The other thing we did was we started doing virtual happy hours because we needed to do something to keep people connected. And so I pay for their dinner and their drinks, and we have some kind of an activity, whether it's a wine tasting or beer tasting or maybe a trivia night. But we've been doing those on a regular basis to keep everyone connected.
That's awesome. So let's talk about just some best practices and tips for those people that are starting a business or currently in business. What are three just tips that you can give that will inspire them, motivate them to just get in and land that first customer?
Well, I would have to go back to my previous comment about networking. The first 10 years I was in business, I never left my office. And then 9/11 happened and the phone stopped ringing and I started networking. And I can tell you right now, networking is what grew my business. Networking with the local chambers and some other organizations has really helped me a lot. So obviously my tip number one would be to network. There's a great book out there you can read that will help you understand that. It's called Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi, one of my favorite books. Another tip would be to be a lifelong learner and always try and improve yourself. Take classes, seminars, always be trying to learn new things. There's so much technology and innovation out there. You always have to stay on top of that, especially social media. And then thirdly, I would recommend being in some kind of a mastermind or a peer group. You could join an organization called like Entrepreneurs Organization, and they will put you in a peer group of other entrepreneurs, and you can learn from each other.
Thank you. So, where do you see the business in the next 5 or 10 years?
So our business is very exciting. There are so many things coming down. We've already purchased 2 electric buses, and we know that everybody wants electric. They are more expensive, so we were able to get a grant to get the first 2. But I would say in the next 5 to 10 years, our fleet will be mostly electric. We're also looking forward to autonomous vehicles. And we know that we can park them, clean them, deliver them. So it's really exciting in our industry, all the changes that are coming to us. And so we just feel that we're always going to be in the right place at the right time in this dynamic county of Fairfax County. And we will be ahead of the curve, and we will always be looking for better ways of doing everything.
Okay, that's fantastic. Um, as a woman-owned business, what has been the most significant challenge in operating your company?
So I can't say that there has been any challenge as a woman-owned business. Honestly, I've never had problems getting funding. I have, as you know, I'm the largest in the area, the 10th largest in the country. So I can't say being a woman has held me back in any way, and I'm very grateful for that. I will say that my biggest challenge, and I share this with many Fairfax businesses, has been labor shortages and lack of affordable housing. Those are the 2 biggest problems I've faced as a business owner, and it's made it very challenging. For example, we have another office in Maryland, and often we have to recruit people out of our Maryland office to fill our Virginia jobs because it's really hard to find people that can afford to live here and work for us. And so that's been my biggest challenge.
So, about a year or so ago, the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority stood up a workforce or talent attraction initiative. And we have a website, Work in Northern Virginia, Virginia is spelled out, .com. So I encourage those that are listening to visit that website. We have a talent attraction manager, Mike Batt, or director, excuse me, who is willing to meet with those businesses that are experiencing those challenges and help identify resources. So I hope that we will be able to connect the 2 of you so that we can help you resolve some of those issues that related to workforce. But we are just about out of time. I could talk to you all day and listen to your sage advice. And I think that our business owners and viewers that are listening could do the same. In the few minutes that we have remaining, Kristina, I'd like to give you the last word and allow you to just to share information and final tips on what it has been like running the business and just giving final advice to our viewers.
Well, I have to say that, when we had 5 cars, our dream was to have 10 cars. And then when we had 10 cars, our dream was to have 15. We never ever imagined back in the day that we would ever have a company this size. So I really do feel very blessed. And I know a lot of that had to do with location and being in Fairfax, outside of Washington, D.C. And also, so Washington provides a lot of business for us as well, obviously. And so Fairfax is a great place because it's between Washington and Loudoun County. And we've been able to expand all of our wine tours and weddings in Loudoun County and still take advantage of all the government work that's in Washington, D.C. So I feel as if this is a great region for anybody that wants to start a business. And I always say there's enough business for everyone. And there are enough people out there that are willing to help you with your business. And again, networking has been key for me. That is where I have met the people that were able to turn me on to bigger and better opportunities. And so it's a great way to give back as well to the community by not only networking for maybe the chamber or a business group, but also getting involved with charities and finding a charity that you really love and giving them some of your time and talent that's all worked out really well for me. And I really am so grateful that I'm in this location. I really, and again, one more thing is that this region is somewhat recession proof. And so the types of recessions that, plague, you know, uh, Las Vegas or some of the other areas in our country don't happen in Washington, D.C. So just very blessed to be here, have, still want to pinch myself that my company got to be this big, and very grateful to the wonderful community around us, all the resources, all the universities, and just a very dynamic business environment.
Well, Kristina, thank you so much for sharing your experience and lessons learned along the way. Great to have you here once again. Thank you for joining us today.